Why is teaching English so hard? And what can be done? Yes, this episode is for you, you teachers of ESL or any L2, you who are in the trenches with your students.
English Without Fear, where you can learn to speak English naturally through listening to stories.
Hi, this is Maria from English Without Fear, and today I want to explain why teaching ESL is hard and what can help. Well, it's either the second week of school for some, or maybe the fourth and fifth week of school, and the fresh bloom of the new school year has worn off, and you might be thinking, it's still September and I have the whole school year to go. And my students don't seem to be making any progress. Will I be able to keep up my energy and my enthusiasm? Will I be able to plan this whole year? Will I be able to engage them so they pay attention and are interested? If you're feeling overwhelmed, you're not alone, and it's normal. Anything worthwhile, whether it's learning another language or cooking or playing soccer or playing the piano or ballet or beautiful handwriting or juggling or raising children, all these things take hours and days, and that is normal. So, first of all, if you're feeling like they're not making progress, it's only because you're with them day in and day out, just like a young mom who has 3 children under the age of 5. She can't see the progress because she's there with them, and they don't seem to be getting any better. They don't seem to be growing more obedient. Same situation. So 1, recognize that your judgment, your feelings are not based on reality. They are making progress. But number 2, realize that you're in this, they are in this for the long haul. I would say for them to feel comfortable understanding and communicating enough with people, they need at least 1,000 hours of input from you, or from other sources, from what they read or watch or listen to. So recognize that. It's going to take a long time. And they need to understand that just like you, because if you get discouraged, they're probably getting discouraged too about their progress and feeling like, I'm not growing. I'm not more able to understand or communicate. You need to reassure them, and you need to remind them or ask them, what is their why? Why are they studying English? Why do they want to learn to speak English well? That's important that we remember our why. But all that said, I'd like to give you a simple way to plan your lessons. There's no shortcut to learning a language. No matter what books or curriculum out there or the latest thing says, there's no shortcut. It takes hours. And there's no one right way, so give that up. You just need to be in there and give them comprehensible input in slow English with lots of ways to make it understandable, using your voice, your gestures, your face, your tone, props, drawings, movement, all the ways you can think to communicate. And even sometimes translation, if you know their language. That helps. So you just need to provide them lots of input over many hours. There's not one right way or they have to learn this first or that first. No, they don't. They don't. So what I used to do when I was planning out a week, and this will work whether you meet every day for 45 minutes or twice a week for a couple hours or maybe just once a week for 2 hours. I would start each day with a little bit of checking in. What's going on? What's in the news? What did you do last night? What did you eat for dinner? Today is the 18th anniversary of 9/11. This would be a good topic to mention. Where were you on 9/11? That kind of thing. Once you check in, then you get to your content for the day. And the way I looked at content, it was either a story I was going to tell, a story that they might watch in a video, like a YouTube video story. It might be a reading, but usually I save readings as follow-up, as a second layer of enrichment. It could be that you bring in something to show them, a souvenir, a tool, a utensil. What's this for? It could be that you bring in a photo or show a photo from your computer or your phone. It could be a piece of artwork. Art's really good because everybody likes art, and sometimes art tells a story. It could be a history lesson. My students enjoy finding out about history, about a certain event. It could be a fairy tale, whatever your content is. Then you go and work with your content, making sure you speak slowly and it's comprehensible to them. Once you go over the content, you ask questions, just simple questions, so they hear the language chunks, and you can find out if they understand. Once you check for understanding that way, then I always would have some kind of activity, a physical activity to change things up a bit. Either I would retell the story or actions, and they would have to stand up and act them out, or use their fingers to act them out. Or I would mix up some of the chunks of language and they would have to draw it out, but they weren't sure what I was going to say, but it used the same language but mixed up. Or I would have them collaborate with their partner and add a detail. Some fun way to end the class period and engage creatively with the content. At the beginning of the week, I also would play one song, usually a YouTube song, for them. 3 reasons. Number 1, music relaxes us. People like music. It just lowers our anxiety, lowers the affective filter. Takes away stress. Number 2, some people really like YouTube videos, and I would have students that would go look up the song on their phone or computer and listen and watch over and over and over again. More input. Number 3 was I wanted my students to see people from all over the world using this language so that they could see, oh, people like me use this language. I also wanted to infuse a little bit of culture, so they would learn maybe where English or French were spoken, what parts of the world as well, that kind of thing. What colors of people use the language. My white students, I didn't want them to think that only white French people use French. So I would share YouTube videos of lots of Francophone countries where French is the first language. It was broadening for them. And people are interesting. The language, people use language, so when you learn another language, it's about connecting with people. What about homework? Homework, I always drew on from previous content, not anything tied with today. That way, there was no pressure if I didn't do what I thought I might do. I viewed homework, extra input, extra hours for them as enrichment. So I often took a story from last week's content, wrote it out in language I know that they understood, and they would draw it out or they would translate into their own language, circling what they didn't understand. For example, what structures or chunks or words in English they didn't understand. I don't have to understand their language, but I want to know what they don't understand. And I would tell them, do not use Google Translate. Use your language. I want to know what you know. It'll help me be a better teacher. On Fridays, I made it easy for myself. I would do something relaxing. I would show them part of a video and continue each Friday, and they usually look forward to it. If it wasn't a video series, I would show them some silly animal YouTube videos where they could hear the language. They like that. Sometimes I would bring in food. Sometimes it would be just coloring things. I might give them drawings and a little description, and they have to color it a certain way, or they have to add something to it. Anything that has to do with the language, uses the language, but was relaxing and easy for Maria. So I knew that Friday was going to be an easy Friday. Sometimes it was food Fridays or free Friday. Sometimes we even played games, but using the language. Card games or board games, something like that. Something easy again for me. What else did I want to say? Just that it really doesn't depend on a certain order. You don't have to teach them this first and then this. Remember, think of the mom at home raising her children. She just is there with them day in, day out. Repetition, love, kindness, correction, gentle, hour upon hour upon hour. And if you want to feel good about what you're doing, then have them take a sample of their spoken and written language skills in September, do it again in January, and then maybe in May or June, so you can see some progress and so they can see some progress. Does that make sense? By the way, I do want to add a little PS. There is a way for you to see lots of progress quickly. And I don't mean this meanly, but my Colombian gal whom I tutor, I was with her today, and I know she goes Tuesday nights and Thursday nights to community college here in Huntsville, Alabama for an English class. So I said, Lena, how was English last night? And she said, muy bien, it was good. But then her face clouded over and she said, actually, well, she didn't say the word actually. She said, no, the teacher spoke so quickly, she only understood a word here and there. The teacher passed out sheets of work with blanks and she filled in all the blanks. So she felt good that she had completed the work. But I think what happens is, if you're a teacher who focuses on grammar and you teach a grammar concept, a very discrete, short grammar rule, and you practice it with your students, and then you test them and they do well, you might be thinking, they're making progress. They might be thinking, I'm making progress. But it doesn't help them speak or understand. So that's a waste of time. But if you want to feel like you're making that kind of progress day to day, week to week, then have at it. And I'm being sarcastic, I'm sorry. But just know it's normal that this takes a long time. One trick I did learn, took me many, many years, was if it was not a good day, if the kids looked bored, if they were disengaged, and I felt discouraged, I would say to myself, well, Maria, at least you did your job. You gave them comprehensible input. And maybe one or two who looked bored, maybe they really were paying attention, and that language went into their brain and wired down more concretely something. That's all we can do. So be easy on yourself, okay? This is hard, but so are a lot of other things. And over time, with many hours, with much investment, with much love, you will see them make progress, and they will as well. I hope that helps. Well, this is Maria from English Without Fear. Without fear for you and without fear for them. Let me know what you think. Talk to you later.
Thanks for watching. For questions or comments, here is my email